everyone. A lot of you were asking me, sir, how do I prepare for the fifth paper, that is Auditing and Ethics, just that 1.5 days before the exam? So I have in front of me a strategy as to how we have to break down the syllabus and revise just 1.5 days before your exams. I wouldn't consider it as 1.5 days, I would say 2 days, because you have half a day after your costing exam, 1 day the next day, and your audit exam day again we have a half day. So how do we need to plan it? And I have a strategy for it. I wouldn't say you have to follow this. This is my suggestion. You can change the order according to your confidence level. Clear? But before we begin this, let's try and understand the weightage, chapter wise weightage in the subject given by the ICA. Okay, so chapter 1, that is nature, objective and scope, has somewhere around 4% to 6% weightage. And I usually tell limitations, objectives, assurance, right? These are the areas, scope, aspects. These are the areas where you have to focus, because in MCQ also they can ask, in descriptive also they can ask. Chapter number 2, your strategy, planning and program, has 8% to 12% weightage. Chapter 3, that is your risk assessment, has again 8% to 12% weightage. And if you see comparatively chapter 2 and chapter 3, chapter 2 is smaller than chapter number 3. Chapter 4, your evidence, and chapter 6 combined 12% to 18%. And I've also told chapter 6 looks small, but actually it is a part of audit evidence only, because even in old syllabus, chapter 6, that is SA 230, was a part of evidence. Then we have fifth chapter, that is audit of items of financial statements, which is from 12% to 20%. Chapter 7, we have 8% to 12%, that is your completion and review. Reporting chapter also 8 to 12%. Different entities and bank audit, both we consider as special audits. Okay, and this has a 12 to 18%, and ethics comes to 8 to 10%. Right, so this is a weightage given. It can vary. It's not that they are sticking to this very strictly. It can vary, but this is given by ICA itself, right? So it's not my weightage. Now, what is the strategy, sir? Now, on costing exam day, you finish your exam. Once you finish your exam, do not think about the exam, because what is past is past. You cannot change it, right? So after the exams, do not come out of the exam hall and start discussing about costing paper, which problem went wrong, which problem I did a small mistake here, a small error here, or I missed out on a step, because that will affect your next paper. You won't be able to focus on audit preparation. So your exam gets over, leave from that place right away. Clear? Forget about costing paper, focus on now audit. So probably reach home by 6. Yes, 5:30, 6. Now 6 to 6:30, if you want, you take a break after reaching home. Yeah, freshen up, have your food. 6:30 to 7 you start. 6:30 or 7, start at that time. That day we'll be studying till 11:30 p.m. Okay, and what are the topics we are going to cover, sir? We'll be covering SA 200, that is chapter number 1. Then we'll cover SA 210, 220 and SQC1, which is nothing but chapter number 11. So chapter number 1 and chapter number 11 we'll be covering, and SA 230, which is chapter number 6. So we'll be covering 3 chapters in probably 4.5 or even 5 hours, and it should be good enough for us to do it. Now, what I usually suggest students is, whenever you're preparing, not revision I'm talking about, whenever you're preparing, when you're studying first round, second round, and those revision rounds when you're doing, I usually tell right after the question, finish off the relevant topic RTP question as well. And there only you can mark whichever you feel is a unique question, whichever you feel is a tough question, you can mark it then and there. If possible, try to cover RTP questions here only. Chapter 1 RTP, cover it here only. Chapter 11 RTP, cover it here only. Chapter 6 RTP question, cover it here only, if possible. Clear? Now that day, you finished till 11:30, right? Sleep well. Don't think about anything else. Just sleep well. Set a target that tomorrow we should be doing very well. Clear? Get up at 6 a.m. or get up at 5:30. Start at 6 a.m. Clear? Now that day, what are we going to cover? First 1.5 hour, 6 to 7:30, you cover chapter number 2, audit strategy, planning and program. This can give you, you have seen the marks here, right? This can give you 8 to 12%, right? Then 7:30 to 8:30 from the reporting chapter SA 299 and SA 600 joint audit and branch audit. Clear? Using the work of another auditor, branch audit. Finish it off. Clear? In 1 hour, you should be able to finish it off if you have made very good short notes or if you have the chart book with you. Clear? Then you have breakfast. Clear? I've given 45 minutes time slot here. You can adjust accordingly as per your confidence level and as per your stress levels. Clear? 9:15 to 12:30 in that slot we'll be covering reporting standards and Caro 2020. Clear? So 3.5 hours or 3 hours 15 minutes should be good enough for us to cover the entire slot of Caro 2020 and 700, 701, 705, 706, 710. 5 standards and Caro 2020 will be able to cover it. Then 12:30 to 1, half an hour finish of cooperative society. One question can come out of that, special features, special report, clear, of cooperative society we can finish. Then take a lunch break, 1 to 1:30, half an hour I have given. You can adjust the breakfast break, and if you want to take more lunch break, because sir, if you feel this is little heavy, start early and then go for a more or a longer break of lunch. Then within the next half an hour, section 143 and government audit, try to cover it. Clear? Section 143 comes under chapter number 8, reporting. So here we are done with that. Here we are done with that, and here also reporting chapter is done. So by the time you come here, we'll be done with reporting chapter, which is again an important chapter, right? Then 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, SA 500 series will finish. But which one? 500, 501, 505, 510, 520 and 550. Audit evidence, specific items, external confirmation, initial audit, analytical procedure, and we have related parties. Clear? Finish these revisions, and it is better if you have a handwritten notes. Clear? In our class, we always have a handwritten notebook or handwritten charts in the class as a class notes. So those who have that, that will be easier for the revision. Otherwise, you anyway have a chart book with you. You can purchase it from learn.arivu website. Clear? From there you take it. 3 to 4, SA 560, SA 580, SA 260 and 265. So this is our completion and review portion will be done. Take a 10 minutes break because you're studying continuously from here 1:30 to 4, right? So take a 10-minute break. 4:10 to 5, do 2 standards of SA 610 and 570. We should be able to complete. See, this is a revision, quick revision. It's not you're studying for the first time. So you should be able to revise multiple times before this. So the disclaimer here is, it's not the first time that you're doing. Number one. Number two, I have done, but I've never revised. I'm revising for the first time. That's not how it works. You have to study at least 1 or 2 times, proper coverage of the syllabus, then revise multiple times, and then come to the exam date. Clear? 5 to 6, sampling and evaluation of misstatement standard will be doing it. Then 6 to 7, what we'll do is audit trail. Clear? Audit trail and automated environment. From your risk assessment chapter and evidence chapter, we'll do automated environment. There are 1 or 2 questions, specific risks and audit procedure. From automated environment, you can focus on that. Then audit trail under evidence chapter. Okay. Then take a 15-minute break. All right. Then in 1 hour 15 minutes, finish off bank audit and especially focus on advances. Clear? What are the different types of advances? Calculation of drawing power. How do we classify NPA? What are the different rules for classification of NPA? Provisioning norms. Finish off those. Have your dinner from 8:30 to 9:30. Take a break. Clear? 9:30 to 11:30. Do risk assessment chapter. That is 315, 330 and 320 and as well as internal control. Clear? In 2 hours, finish the revision. For this also, if you have handwritten notes, it is much better and effective way to revise. You should have your short notes handy. Clear? Now, that day, 11:30 done, sleep. Get up. Again, same continuation. Start at 6 a.m. So 11:30 to 5:30 should be a good sleep for you, right? Always have affirmation when you're sleeping. That will be doing good the next day. Have a realistic target set. Now, next day, what are we going to cover? One chapter will be left for us, 1.5 chapter basically. One is chapter number 5, items of financial statements, and then we have other entities. See, in case of items of financial statements, yes, it's an important chapter. It will give you marks. It's a very big chapter as well. Sir, can we cover all the points? Do we have a shortcut to cover it? There's no shortcut for this chapter. Clear? There is no shortcut to this chapter to remember all the points, because the more story, character, mnemonics, any methodology you create, the content is so much that you'll get confused. Clear? You have to be at that level where you remember everything very clearly. Okay. So what I used to suggest students, and I'm still suggesting it, when you're studying for the first time the subject, or the second revision or second time you're studying, divide this particular chapter into multiple days. Like for example, do share capital today, do reserves and surplus tomorrow, and while doing it, prepare your own short notes of those points which you are able to remember. Okay. So there are various assertions. Under every assertion, if you are able to write 2 to 3 points, you should be able to cover everything. But in some of the cases, look at the questions, past exam questions, what they have asked. At least do that. I know that students will try to skip this chapter. Even in the class, even after doing it, right? They'll try to skip it. But instead of skipping it, at least do the questions of that and go and see what type of questions can be asked. In this particular thing, it's nothing but a mashup of all other chapters and other subjects. For example, in share capital, section 52 comes, section 53 comes, 54 comes, right? Buyback comes, redemption comes. All those things will be applicable right away. There only. Clear? So if you're able to cover that, it will be easy, right? So 3 hours I have given you. Right? And in this 3 hours, if you're finishing this early, whatever is your pending portions of your previous day, cover it here. Clear? Have your breakfast from 9 to 9:30. Okay. From 9:30 to 10:30, finish off other entities. Now in other entities again, in the class we divide into 3 parts, 9A, 9B, 9C. Clear? Now this will come under the third part or the first part of our ninth subpart. What I tell you, there are 5 aspects in other entities. Every entity has 5 aspects. Preliminary aspect, income and expenditure, or basically income and expense, that's our P&L item. Asset and liability, that is nothing but our balance sheet items. So what you are supposed to do, at least try to remember or put in place 2 points in each category. If you are able to put 2 points in each category, our job is done. Clear? So revision at least 2 to 3 points. You try to revise and see what other points I can put. So this actually gives you a little more freedom to write your own points, but again, which is a valid point. Okay. Then 10:30 to 12:30, do your RTPs and MTPs. Clear? The current attempt, previous attempt. I usually say 3 RTPs you have to cover. Okay. Now RTPs and MTPs, only if you do that, will I get exemption? Will I get marks? No. RTPs, revision test paper. You should be able to complete the syllabus, revise, and then go for RTP. And the same logic is applicable for mock papers as well. Sir, out of these questions, if other than these, any other study material, any other institute material, if you have seen, any other material wherever you have marked, this question is very good, or your coaching institute would have given you some other questions. Clear? If you find this is a very good question and you should have marked it when you had studied, do those questions as well in this lot. Clear? Quick revision, right? After that, what else is required, sir? After that, confidence is required. You should have confidence in your ability. Clear? These things, this should be good enough for us to finish off as a whole, a revision for 2 days. Clear? Have confidence in your ability. Clear? Go to the exam hall well in advance. See where your place is. Those who are writing only group 2, some people would have got only exemption. But those who are writing group 1 and group 2, you know your exam center, you know your place, right? But those who do not know, this is the first paper you are writing, costing, I've got exemption. Clear? Reach there early. Know your place. Clear? Take all the essentials. Sit there. Do not study anything new at the last minute. Clear? That's why if you see here, 10:30 your revision ends. It's just RTPs and mock test papers, and this is not new for you. You would have covered it before. I'm assuming you would have covered it before. So this is not the first time you're doing RTP or mock papers. Clear? So anything of any other material, any new question, do not bother about it. Clear? Whatever you have studied is good enough. Just go, give your best, and forget about the fear. All right. Whenever you get the question paper, try to flip it. Clear? Do it from the end. Try to read the question from the end. It will always help you to settle your nerves, because when you're nervous, when you are not calm, question number one is usually tricky. And if you're not able to read it in the calm mind, you won't be able to figure out what the answer is, and you might be able to mess up. So to avoid that, go to the last question. Try to read that. Clear? And slowly your nerves will be settled. By the time you reach question number one, you will be at your calmest possible in the exam hall. Clear? Do not focus on what others are doing, right? Who is getting additional papers, right? Who is leaving early, who's coming late. Forget about all these things. You just focus on your answer. Clear? And this should be good enough for us to prepare for our exams. So all the very best for those who are writing in Jan 25 and even in May 25. Clear? And from my side, good luck to you. I hope to see you in CA finals. Come out in flying colors. Thank you so much.